I'm Bruce Dixon, and I'm here talking to Jewel Crawford, Dr. Jewel Crawford, at her beautiful Atlanta home about her new book, Can't Lose This Dream. Can't Lose This Dream is available in paperback online at can'tlosethisdream.com, as well as being available at amazon.com, barnesandnoble.com, perhaps powell's.com, and hopefully soon at a paper bookstore near you, right? Can't Lose This Dream is the story of a young black medical student, Fannie Lou Harris, at predominantly black Percy LaVon Julian Medical School in the nation's capital. In the book, the aspiring Dr. Harris and her friends confront a series of personal and political and institutional dilemmas that make for a good read. This is your first?
Yes. It's the first novel I've written. I've written a chapter in a book before, but I haven't written a novel before.
How much of Fannie Lou Harris is you, and how much of it is people you've known over the years?
That's what everybody wants to know. And including even my mom wanted to know that. My mom wanted to know that too. And no one will ever know what's fact and what's fiction. So, people write about what they know from their own experiences and so forth, and then you may, as a writer, take them and embellish them or write something, some spin-off from that or something like that. But the storyline was a way of me, as the Delaney sisters have said, having my say about everything that was important to me to get out there. But as far as what's fact and what's fiction, one never knows, do one?
All right. Well, what made you want to tell this particular story? What is there about this particular story that made you have to tell it?
Well, I was possessed by these characters for a number of years. You know, sometimes writers are pregnant with a story, which I carried around for a long time. And they took over my body and insisted that I write about them. So I said, okay. So I did. But at one point, there was a couple in the book that I started to change around. And in fact, I'll tell you, it was the interracial couple in the book. And I said, should I make this couple interracial? Maybe I should just make them all one race, you know. And they came to me and said, we are an interracial couple and do not break us up, you know.
There you go.
So that was that. I was like, okay, alrighty then. So they stayed like that. So, you know, some things, if I thought about changing them around, it just didn't really sit well with me. And so I just left it, you know, as the thought came to me. And I've told people over and over, it was more like I was channeling this book than writing it. No, I just felt kind of like a vessel, like I was just almost taking dictation from wherever this story was coming from.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and your own background.
Well, I'll tell you what I wasn't, because my students and some people were confused. I wasn't a sharecropper, okay? I never sharecropped. And what else? I did not migrate from the South to New York City. I was born and raised in New York City. I was born in Manhattan. Raised in Queens, went to high school in the Bronx High School of Science. Hey, all my alumni out there. And then I went to college in California. I attended Stanford University and kind of crisscrossed the country, then came back to go to Howard University College of Medicine. So that's my educational track. You know, after I did my postgraduate work at Howard, then Howard and D.C. General Hospital in Washington, D.C., then moved back to New York and worked in the South Bronx, where Fannie was from. And my district was South Bronx Tremont. I worked for the New York City Health Department in child health, and then because my area was family medicine. And then I later moved to Portland, Oregon. And I had my own practice out there, family medicine, Optimum Family Health Clinic. So if any of my old patients are listening, hi everybody, Providence Hospital. So I had my own clinic there for a long time. I was in Portland 13 years. And then I took a job at one of the public health agencies here in Atlanta. and I also teach now at Morehouse School of Medicine. I teach the medical students, the first-year medical students.
Universities definitely are under pressure from corporations to focus their research in lots of areas on projects that benefit corporate interests who are their donors. How are black medical schools and medical schools generally responding to this kind of pressure, or are they under this kind of pressure as far as you know?
I mean, we just know in general that corporate interests are the ones that have all the money, and so they fund a lot of things. They prop up most universities. And one of the things that we tell our first-year students, that we tell in actually our community health class at Morehouse, is that when they're looking at research and looking at a journal article, they have to look and see who funded that research and whether or not there's any conflict of interest. And then that will allow them to assess, the validity, of the research, because they have to often take that into consideration when they're looking at a study.
All right. Are you working on anything else?
Well, I have other books in my head to do, but not another. I haven't conceived another novel. I'll say that I don't have another novel in my head, and this might be it. This might be it.
Well, we hope not.
As far as novel writing is concerned, it took me a long time. I don't know if I have enough lifetimes to be a novelist. The rate that I write novels took a really long time. But I have other writing that I want to do, but more informational, health education kind of writing and things like that. But I will say this, there are lots of stories that have not been told about African American life and history. And there's some that I've thought about writing that have more historical perspective, because I want to get the information out there. Now, I do write poetry, so I have some poetry books I'm going to publish, and I have a children's book that I'm going to publish that I've written, Sergio the Shy Octopus. But anyway,
all right.
So I have some other types of writing, but that's the only novel. But one of the things that I wanted to accomplish in the novel was to just show another side of black life. I get so tired of seeing, first of all, our men dragged through the mud all the time. Won't mention any names, but the most prominent things we see in the media, black men have serious issues. They're cross-dressing or perverted, or they're the demon or the villain in a movie, or something's wrong with them, or they're perpetrating some crime or something like that. And this has not been my experience with the black men in my life. My father and my teachers and my pastor and the black men in my community were hardworking and took care of business. And then we have all the institution builders that built all of and sustained all of our black institutions and so forth. And you never see anything about that. And you talk about drama. Those brothers were up against a lot. So this is my way of kind of revering and honoring, our African American men. And shining them in a positive, right? Well, I'm just focusing on the men right now because, of course, the protagonist and the heroine is a woman. But at the same time, just giving some balance to show the positive side of black life and all the things that we have overcome to achieve all that we've achieved. Well, I would like to think that my book would help to raise the standard, that people can be entertained and also educated at the same time, and it doesn't have to be low-life material about the kind of lowest ebb, of African American life. All that we've accomplished is so many stories that are really intriguing and inspiring.
Thank you, Dr. Jewel Crawford. The name of the book is Can't Lose This Dream, and you can find it at can'tlosethisdream.com. You can also find it at Amazon's and Powell's and BarnesandNoble.com, and at a bookseller near you, coming soon.
Coming soon.